Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending this Zoom presentation on answers from admissions. Before we get started, Jackie and I wanted you to know that there are a lot of changes going on around us. We decided to have these Zoom presentations to keep you informed. We plan to have just a couple more in the coming weeks, and we'll be posting some of this information to our Facebook page. If you don't already follow us on Facebook, if you can go to our Facebook page at Class 101 Cleveland, Ohio Southeast, and like our page. We plan on posting parts of this presentation on Facebook, so if you want to review some of this information, please go ahead and check our page. Okay, now I want to introduce everyone to Alicia Ellis. Alicia is in the Office of Admissions at Kent State University. She has offered to spend some time with us to provide information on what changes are happening on college campuses. Her focus will be on Kent State, but the information will most likely be broadly applicable. Ms. Ellis has also agreed to participate in a question and answer session at the end of the presentation to answer any specific questions you might have. At that time, if you want to ask a question, please press and hold down your space bar, ask the question, and then release the space bar. If you feel more comfortable, you can always type a question in chat and we'll just ask the question for you. Okay, so let's get started. Alicia, thank you very much for taking the time today to help our students. Jackie and I appreciate it very much. First off, can you tell our families a little bit about who you are, how long you've been affiliated with Kent State University, and what is your current job at the university?
Sure, thanks for having me today. My name's Alicia Ellis. I'm a senior admissions counselor in the admissions office at Kent State. So I do recruiting for Geauga County, Portage County, and Medina County, but I've done some recruiting in Cleveland for a few years, in Lorain County as well. I've been with Kent State in this role for almost 6 years now, I think. I don't know, I'm starting to lose track. I think it's 6 years this year. Before that, I didn't graduate from Kent State, but I was affiliated with Kent State through like their Upward Bound programs while I was in high school. So me and Kent State go back many, many years, but it's a great place to be. I love it. I love my job. I love working with you all, doing presentations virtually now. So it's a good time. In spite of everything, still a good time.
Sure, it's kind of a whole new world for all of us. We're kind of trying to figure it out as we go.
Yep.
So I appreciate, again, you taking the time. Can you tell us a little bit about how Kent State is handling the current COVID-19 situation? Specifically, I guess to get started, what changes would affect high school students that have already applied and have been accepted to Kent State University?
Sure. So the changes, Kent State is doing a lot to help students coming in, future students, current students, but specifically for new freshmen coming in for fall 2020, we did pretty much move everything virtually. First with the admissions process, if you're still interested in applying to Kent State, we have extended our application date so students can still apply for admission if they haven't already done so. For students who have applied and may not have completed their application, they can still complete their application and still be considered for merit scholarships, full merit scholarship consideration, as long as they're admitted by June 1st. So you still got a few weeks to get that completed. If you've been admitted, we have the confirmation process and enrollment process is still the same, but we did change orientation for this summer for our admitted students. So if you've been admitted, it's going to be a virtual orientation with our Destination Kent State office and an academic advisor. You would still register for orientation the same way, but instead of being on campus for a day and a half, you're just going to have like an hour virtual appointment with an academic advisor on the day you register for. So those are some of of the big changes. Housing is still going on as planned. If you are admitted and you haven't submitted a housing application, make sure you submit one as soon as possible because they are in the process of doing assignments. If you're interested in financial aid, we still are taking financial aid applications and releasing financial aid packages, so you can still do that. If there is a change in income due to COVID-19, say you have a job loss or some other financial hardship, we do have special circumstances forms available on the financial aid website that families and students can fill out to be reevaluated for additional aid, because we do understand that incomes may have changed a lot because of everything. So we want to do all that we can in order to help you with your financial piece of the enrollment and admissions process. So those are the major changes for, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot one other major change. If you haven't applied yet, or if you're in the process of applying and you haven't been admitted yet, we did go to test optional for fall 2020. So if you submit your application, but you didn't get a chance to take your ACT or SAT test, you can still apply and we'll do a holistic review for you based off of your transcript. And if you wanted to submit additional documentation like recommendation letters or an essay, you can do that as well. So that test portion is going to be optional if you have not already taken your test. However, if you want to be considered for merit scholarships, we will need to see a test, ACT or SAT test, as those are part of the requirements for merit scholarship offers. So those are the major changes in brief.
Okay, very good. Looking ahead, how do you see the COVID-19 affecting current juniors? Now, you mentioned test optional for 2020 and 2021, but do you have anything beyond, I guess, as a current junior? Is there consideration for the test option? Or for those that don't understand what test optional means, is your ACT score will not be required for Kent State to review your application. So if you have taken a test and you've gotten a good score and you want to submit it, you can. If you have not had a chance to take the test and you just, for whatever reason, do not have the ability to take the test, Kent State will not require it, at least for, it sounds like, for the 2020-2021 school year. What happens beyond that, I guess?
So beyond that, we don't have definitive answers yet on whether we're going to be test optional or not. There's been discussions within kind of like the counselor group, along with some of our leadership in looking into that more, but a final decision hasn't been made. As of today, we are still going to accept test scores for scholarship purposes for sure. Not sure if we're going to need them for admission purposes. I think we're going to kind of probably wait to see what the big testing centers do, like ACT or College Board, how they're going to handle testing for the fall semester. But for now, I would say plan on taking the ACT or SAT at least at minimum for scholarship consideration, and we'll probably have more information before we start recruiting in the fall. So I would say probably keep an eye out on our social media accounts and also stay in contact with the admissions office and me, your admissions counselor, because as we hear things, we'll definitely let you all know that information. But right now, it's kind of still up in the air for fall 2021 and beyond.
Okay, so just to clarify, for those that are current seniors and they still want to apply to Kent State, you are offering test optional. For those that are currently juniors, that decision is yet to be made. And then looking ahead, we know that normally the Common App opens on August 1st. And then everything is going to sort of depend on many different things. We have heard, and I don't know if you can confirm this, but ACT is going to make a decision on the June 13th test on May 22nd. Have you heard that or not?
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard much lately about the ACT or SAT test. Yeah, I haven't heard that, but as soon as they make this decision, I'm sure they will tell us, and then they'll have us have more information for us on what we can tell you all in regards to testing. requirements. Yeah, I just hadn't heard anything. So that's news to me. Thank you. So the rest of my colleagues.
Okay, again, we just had picked up on that. I believe it was on the ACT website. But again, everything is kind of very fluid right now. And
Right.
I guess the best advice that we give the students that we work with is let's just stay flexible. We're in a very
Mhm.
interesting time, unprecedented, I think was an understatement. So we just
Yes.
need to kind of stay flexible. So I'm curious for a junior that's in high school that has not yet taken the ACT,
Mhm.
what advice would you give them with all the unknowns? What would you suggest? I'm going to guess you're going to say, but I don't want to put words in your mouth, that if you can take the test, you would take the test. You would prepare, assuming you're going to take the test. What exactly would you offer as a current junior thinking about the ACT?
Mhm. Yeah, I think you said what I would say. Prepare as if you were going to take the test and it's going to be required. Um, and particularly, like I said, for scholarship purposes, and I definitely want you all to get as much scholarship money as you possibly can. For right now, I've heard nothing different about there not being a test, or they're opting out of the test for scholarship consideration. So at the very least, prepare to take the test as if you're going to take the test and it's going to be available for scholarship purposes. And we'll see what happens with the admission side on whether or not we'll require it for admissions. So do that. And then when the Common App in our admissions application opens in August, it always opens on August 1st, submit the application as you would normally and submit your transcripts as if you would normally. And then hopefully we'll have a decision not too long into the school year about what the test option or the testing requirements are going to be, but prepare as if it's going to be required.
Okay, thank you. What about some high schools offering pass-fail versus a traditional ABC? How would you, in admissions, look at a student, I guess, that has come from the more traditional versus a student that might be given a test fail kind of scenario? Can you kind of expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so in those instances, if your school is going to go to a kind of pass fail model or offer some classes pass fail, what we're going to ask for is some type of school profile from that high school explaining what it means to pass that class. So, what does passing that class mean at ABC High School? Try and have something like that handy, or let your school know that that's something that we're going to be looking for, and that's what we'll use in our review process when we're evaluating those classes. And then also, we'll also want the school to send any like state standardized testing results and any kind of like national test results like ACT or SAT test scores to help supplement those classes. So that'll give us a good view of you as an academic, your academic performance when you're applying for admission. So high school profile, any standardized test results, state test results, or national test results is what we're going to use.
Okay, and then for those students that have not been able to visit your campus, again, a lot of changes going on. I think most college campuses have stopped completely any kind of tours, but what does Kent State currently offer for students that are looking to get on the campus, see what Kent State's all about, so on and so forth?
Right. Kent State, we have a lot actually. So let me take a deep breath. Okay. So we have always had a virtual tour on our visit website. Well, first, let me say you'll definitely want to go to our visit page. It's kent.edu/visit. This is where we have all of these opportunities listed for you to view or to sign up for. So we do have a virtual tour there, and it's always there whether we're in the middle of COVID-19 or not. So if you can't get to campus, you can always check out the virtual tour. And even if you do an on-campus tour at some point, whether it's in the past or in the future, the virtual tour takes you on more places than we actually take you on our walking tour on campus. So check that out on the Visit website. We also are offering right now virtual one-on-one admission sessions for new freshman students. There's a session for transfer students, and we also have virtual financial aid one-on-one sessions. And you can register for any of those sessions on our Visit website. We have the admission sessions on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. The financial aid sessions are on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we have the transfer session on Tuesdays. So there's a lot of different opportunities for you to get a presentation about Kent State, just like you would if you were to come on campus, in addition to the additional like the freshman presentation, which we give all the time. So we have that. We also have virtual appointments available with an admissions counselor like myself, or you can have an appointment with a financial aid counselor. So you can register for one of those appointments on our Visit website as well. And those are every day, Monday through Friday. There's tons of appointments there. So if you wanted to meet one-on-one with myself or with a financial aid counselor, that's available. Also, we do have Facebook Live. So if you are on Facebook and if you follow our university webpage, the admissions webpage, we frequently have Facebook Live events. There's Zoom meetings with different academic colleges and departments across campus. So you can always tune into one of them. And if you miss one, they're saved on our admissions page, so you can go back and view a posting. Also, we'll be posting those on the Visit website. All of them aren't on there yet, but you can always go to our Visit webpage and check out some of those Facebook Lives. So those are just some of the things that we're offering. As we think of things, we're always adding new things. We have student panels. We do Instagram Live every weekday at 3 o'clock with an admissions counselor. So if you're on Instagram, 3 o'clock, tune in to the admissions webpage. It's going to be an admissions counselor and a tour guide on there answering questions, whatever you have on your mind that day. So that's another option as well. So we have a lot of opportunities to connect.
Okay. Are there any kind of self-guided tours at Kent State?
Yeah, so we do have self-guided walking tours. It's kind of hard to do them now with the campus being closed. The campus is public, so you're more than welcome to walk around campus. And if you have a phone, you can pull up the campus map and it'll tell you what you're seeing. Unfortunately, the buildings are locked, so you can't go into the buildings. And there isn't too many people working on campus right now. So if you had questions, there's not a lot of opportunities to get questions answered. But once the university opens back up, we definitely have self-guided walking tours that you can take as well if you didn't want to sign up for one of our regular tours or you're not able to do that.
Okay, and then with a traditional on-campus visit, they have, the 45-minute information session. You listed a lot of things, and I don't know if I missed that, but is there any way to kind of go through the process of the information session where they can hear, all the exciting things that are happening at Kent State, the cost, the, ACT, SAT test score requirements and so on and so forth? If you can expand on that a little bit, I would appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I did list a lot, so I can definitely repeat. That's okay. We do have admission 101 sessions Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 10 o'clock a.m. It's a Zoom meeting just like what we're having right now, and you can register for that on our Visit website. It is the exact same presentation you would get if you were to come on campus for one of our regular campus tours, and it's just the virtual admissions 101 freshman session. And then if you wanted to do it like we would typically on campus, after the presentation, you would have a walking tour with a tour guide. So if you did the virtual presentation, you can follow that up with the virtual tour on our website. So you can kind of get the whole package as what you would normally get on campus, but it just be virtually.
Okay. And you've mentioned obviously that the campus is closed, so there's the traditional on-campus tour is not possible. But I'm curious. You mentioned about getting meetings with admissions officers or financial aid. What other ideas or suggestions would you have for students to kind of increase their presence in the eyes of the admissions department? You know, we talk about demonstrated interest.
Mhm.
I'm not 100% sure how Kent treats demonstrated interest, but what would you suggest, you know, without being obnoxious and sending you an email, you know, every day, twice a day, what would you suggest that a student that's interested in Kent State do?
Yeah, so that's a great point. We do look at demonstrated interest at Kent State as a part of the admissions process, and particularly for students who kind of maybe borderline for admission. But besides the obvious ways of demonstrating interest, like signing up for a virtual presentation or doing a tour, something like that, another way you can demonstrate interest is one, the system that we use is really, really cool in that when we send you emails and other communications, I don't know if this is like a trade secret or not, but I'm gonna tell you, when we send you emails, we can view whether you have viewed that email or interacted with that email. So when we send you emails, whether it's to your personal emails, mainly to your personal email, open it up, read them, click on the links, because that shows us that you're interested in the things that we're sending you and you're interested in the university. Also, it doesn't hurt to email your admissions counselor or call the office, as we do document any interaction that we have with students that we talk with in our system. So we know that you've interacted with us and you are really interested in the university. So those little things like that. If you're an admitted student, you can join our schools app community, which is a community just for admitted students. And we do have staff, admission staff, who are regularly in there monitoring and interacting with students. So that's another way to show interest, and we can track all of that as well. I might be giving away too many trade secrets, but shh, don't tell my boss. But yeah, there's many ways you can show interest, and it's basically just interacting with the things that we send you, and that's great. We can see all of that.
I actually believe we've been giving away some of your trade secrets, because we actually tell our students, if you get an email, open it. If you
Okay,
get
very
anything
good.
with a link, like if you're interested in a specific major, open it.
Mhm.
And, you know, I don't really want them to just go through the motions to, you know, kind of trick the
Yes.
system, but you
Yeah.
obviously know when a kid deletes an email, or if they
Mhm.
do not open it at
Mhm.
all.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
there is some, I guess, some truth to what we tell our students, that
There
there is
is.
the ability to, and you're not the first to tell us that. So,
Okay,
you know,
good.
again, it's, you know, sometimes kids look at us like we're crazy, but, you know, again, thank you for reinforcing what we kind of, you know, already told them. Let's just sort of get beyond COVID-19. Things are starting to fall in and starting to get back to normal, whenever that might be. Do you see Kent State possibly opening up their visitation schedule and look at possibly additional weekends, possibly holidays? How do you see that? And maybe it's too soon to talk about that. If so, just obviously say so.
I don't know if it's too soon, but I'm not sure exactly what we'll do. I think as we start getting back to a new normal, there's probably going to be more opportunities for like evening and weekend things. We already do some weekend kind of like programming, whether it be like a regular campus tour, or if a college has like an open house on a weekend, we already offer things like that. We may do more of the continue with the virtual things and do more online, maybe evening sessions. We do have some like programs in the evening, more for admitted students, and more programming for, it's my goal to do more programming in the community, which would be more in the evenings and possibly weekends as well. So I think with everything, I'm sorry, I think with everything, because of everything that's been happening, we're just going to have to do business a little bit differently. So I do foresee more kind of evening and weekend events happening, whether it's me going to you or you being able to come to us on campus.
Okay, because there's one other thing I would like to extend on behalf of Jackie and I. You know, we would love to have you come to our office. It'd be similar to being at a, you know, high school, but you would have, you know, somewhat of a captive audience, and we could bring kids in that are, you know, specifically interested in Kent State. You could do the
Mhm.
presentation, and, you know, we can do like a meet and greet. But, you know, again, that I think would be beneficial. And the other thing that Jackie and I are starting to realize is this pandemic is starting to open up our eyes to other possibilities. So, you know, last year we would never have considered a Zoom meeting like this, but it's very informative. It's very important. And, you know, again, we're excited to have you with us.
Yes.
Let's again get beyond COVID. Let's talk about how you look at a student's application. I know a lot of colleges talk about a holistic view. Talk about things that you look at. You know, every kid wants to have a 4.0 and they want to get a 35 or a 36 on their ACT. But talk about in general, how do you look at an applicant? And, you know, we can talk about the overachievers, the average student, and the kids that are, you know, borderline. Kind of review kind of what you look at as an admissions officer.
Sure. So we are at Kent State. Currently, what we do is we're looking more at the academic credentials of a student. So not just like the cumulative GPA and the test score. We're looking at not just the composite test score or the SAT total, but we're looking at what classes did you take? Are you taking AP classes, honors classes, CCP classes? We do look at that and we count, like they've taken this many classes. We look at the type of classes. So are you doing like your core classes, like your Englishes, your maths, your sciences? Are you challenging yourself with those classes, even if they're just regular college prep classes? Or are you doing even career tech? If you're doing career tech programs, those are awesome and those are great. And so those are good as well. So we'll look at that. We look at whatever's on your transcript, to be honest with you, whether it's your attendance, are you getting to school on time, those types of things, your test scores, like from your state standardized test, whatever's on your transcript, we're going to look at it and we take that into consideration. Test scores wise, we look at how many times you've taken a test. So did you just take it one time and do great, or did you take it one time and not do so well? Are you going to retake the test? If you took them multiple times, like what's your subject scores? We'll look at all of that. Did you improve? Kind of what's all of that. We look at your major, even though it's not really a big factor in the admissions decision. What are you thinking about going into? If you're going into like an arts major, is it going to be terrible that you may not do math and sciences? Maybe not. So those are things that we will consider when you're applying. We don't require essays or recommendation letters currently, but we definitely will look at those if you send them, especially if you're kind of borderline for admission. And it has to be like good recommendation letters. Some people, so you kind of want to make sure you're choosing a good recommender if you're going to send a recommendation letter. But some people will just send kind of like a form recommendation letter. We really want the recommendation letters to be in depth, to tell us who you are as a student, as a person, as a being. Like, what are you involved in? How do you get along with your fellow classmates and your teachers at your high school, your community members, community leaders, those types of things. If you write an essay, tell us about yourself. Like, why do you feel you would be a successful student at Kent State? What would make you successful? What could you learn from Kent State? What could we learn from you? Those types of things. We really just want to get to know you as a person, not just as a student, but as a person. And like I said, for right now, those additional things like essays, recommendation letters, or even resumes aren't required, but you are more than welcome to send them. And I think if we move to a more holistic review, those are going to play a bigger factor in the admissions decisions because we're all understanding that you're more than just a number. You're more than just a GPA and a test score. And so we want to make sure that that's reflected in your whole admissions application.
Okay, and you kind of touched on course rigor. So I wanted to kind of ask the question, is College Credit Plus AP, we're asked which is better. In the eyes of, at Kent State, is one better than the other? We know AP's been around a lot longer than College Credit Plus. Is it just a matter of time before College Credit Plus is at that same level. Again, we're kind of curious, how do you look at those two as with regard to, course rigor, and
Right.
is one better than the other?
As far as course rigor, for us in admissions, they're looked at the same. So one isn't really better than the other. We maybe this is my own personal opinion. I'm not sure. I think my other colleagues would agree with me. But as far as better for the student, it might be better for you as a student to come in with like the CCP credit. AP is great. But the problem I think with AP is you have to take the test and you have to score a certain number to get the college credit. Whereas if you just do the CCP class, you either pass the class or you don't. And if you pass the class, you get the credit. So it's easier to get credit through CCP than it would be with AP or with IB scores or tests or anything like that. But as far as admission purposes and the admissions review, it's the same. So if you wanted to do AP, by all means do AP. If you want to do CCP, do CCP, because they're both measured, they're both weighed the same as far as admission purposes. But as credit wise, it might be easier to get the CCP credit.
Okay, and then I happen to notice in your bio that you talk about it being very important for the student to find the right fit. And that's kind of what we do at Class 101. Not every student is going to excel at an Ivy school. Some kids would do better, in a different setting. So we try to match the student to the college so that they can be successful. I'm wondering if you can expand on that again. It's just kind of interesting that you had actually mentioned that in our bio, and that's kind of what our plan is with all the students that we work with, is trying to match the college to the student.
Right. Yeah. Right fit is important to me. Me personally, because I didn't graduate from Kent State because it wasn't the right fit for me, because one, they didn't have a major that I wanted to major in. But right fit is important because college is an investment. Your education beyond high school is an investment. So you want to make sure that you're investing your money and your time well. Every school is not a fit for everybody. And as much as I want everybody to come to Kent State, I just know that's not realistic and that's not going to happen. So you have to make sure that you're finding the college that feels good for you, that you feel at home at, that you feel connected to, comfortable with the people that are there. And it's not just like major wise a fit, but like social wise, do they have organizations that you're interested in? Size wise, is it too big? Is it too small? Like, you want to get the right fit for you. Do you want to be in the middle of a city? Do you want to be in like isolated out in the country or somewhere? Those are all questions that you'll have to ask. And even financially too, is it the right fit? With everything that's going on, and just before even COVID-19, finances is an issue. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for me too. So are you going to a school that's going to support you financially, that you can support yourself financially, hopefully that you come out with no debt? That's always questions that you'll want to ask. So even if it's not Kent State, again, I'm a big proponent of students going where it fits for them and it works for them. So I'm always happy to help students try and narrow that down, even if it's not Kent State. And I know I work for Kent State, but yeah, if you ever need help with that, like I'm happy to help as well.
Okay, we're gonna soon slide into the question and answer. So if anyone has any questions, if they can kind of get ready, and again, if you don't feel comfortable asking the question, just put it into chat and I'll ask the question for you. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna put up your slide so that they have your contact information. Then if you do have any questions, Alicia's phone number is there. Her email address is there. And, again, she's here to help. That's what admissions counselors do. They're here to answer any questions you have. And especially under these current circumstances, a lot of people have a lot of questions. And we try to, answer as many of those as we can. But if you have something specific to Kent State that you want to try to get an answer to, please feel free to reach out to her if you can.
Yes.
Okay, before we switch over to the Q&A, I just have a quick question, Alicia, to you. Is there anything that we did not cover that you might think of that you might want to add to the discussion? Again, I guess the floor is yours if you would. So if you want to add anything, please do so.
I don't have much to add. Just want to reiterate, because everything is so fluid right now and everything is changing. And even when we get back to normal, I think it's going to be a new normal. And we're going to operate a little bit differently than we have been in the past. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, reach out to our admissions office, whether you think it's Kent State related or not, let us know. If you just in general have questions about things, we're here to help. We're happy to help. And we might not always have all the answers right when you want the answers, but definitely we're going to work on getting the answers to those questions. So yeah, don't hesitate to ask, and keep an eye out on our social media accounts and the admissions social media and the Maine University social medias, as we frequently update those with information as we get them.
Okay, and then it just seems like, again, with the current COVID situation, everybody is kind of trying to reinvent themselves with being accessible. And this, has opened up a lot of different avenues for different people. And, again, it sounds like Kent State's really on the cutting edge of that. It sounds like you have a lot of different ways for students to connect, which, is good. And we appreciate that.
Yeah,
Okay, if anyone has any questions, if you just want to, hold down your space bar, you can ask the question. Don't be bashful. But again, if you don't feel comfortable, if you want to ask a question in chat, please, put it in chat and I'll try to ask. Well, we must have done a really good job of covering everything. Again, Alicia, we appreciate you doing this. Would really like to have you up at our office. I think you live in North Canton?
No, I live in Cuyahoga Falls right now. So
Cuyahoga Falls.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's not too far of a trip. We're about 2 miles east of Kenston High School. So if you know where Kenston is, our office is just down the street from there. So we'd love to have you up. Maybe we can do a little presentation of Kent State at our office. And again, Jackie and I appreciate you being available to do this. It's kind of, again, a whole new world, and we appreciate you being part of ours.
Yeah.
And I wish you the best.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I would love to come up there as soon as all of this opens up. Yep, we'll set a date and time. I'm there.
All right. All right. Again, thank you everyone for attending. If you have any questions, reach out to us. You guys obviously have our phone number and our email addresses. And again, Alicia, we wish you the best and enjoy the weekend.
Thank you. You as well. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.